on today's episode, a deep dive, a peeling back of the layers of Dixon Dedman and Kentucky Owl and what transpired there and why Dixon Dedman left Kentucky Owl and what inspired his new brand launching in November, 2XO, 2 times oak. Let's get into it.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
All right, welcome back to another podcast, Blending Bourbon, the podcast that kind of takes you under the tent, behind the scenes of what it's like to be in this crazy whiskey world, complete with all the technical difficulties. This podcast is brought to you by Golden Sheaf. My name is Dixon Dedman of 2XO Bourbon Whiskey. With me, my co-host, David Mark Young, master distiller, master blender, and master technical difficulty fix-it man extraordinaire. He is the owner and proprietor of Golden Sheaf in his bottling facility, coming to you from work itself. How are you, my good friend?
I am fantastic, Dixon. It's so good to actually talk to you without technical difficulty.
I sound great.
You sound great too. You look great. Happy to be here. Fingers crossed. We're going to get through this. And yeah, awesome. Thanks for the intro. Man, this is good. We're finally moving the needle. Get to talk about bourbon blending as opposed to IT technical difficulties. So yeah, I lost track for a second. Is this podcast about?
I think
podcast.
This episode is going to focus on one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah. Drum roll.
Me.
You.
Just kidding. This is not my idea, but I'm good with it. We talked about this. We're going to kind of, I told you anything was on the table that I'm able to say without a lawsuit coming at me. So that's where we're going with this thing. Let's
get controversial.
Let's do it.
Yeah. It's, a great idea. Everybody wants to know. I want to
know. Inquiring minds want to know.
What's going on? Where Kentucky Owl?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. We've all heard of it. We've all tasted it. Dixon Dedman's affiliation with it. But you know what? There's just these lingering questions. And ever since you and I became associated or
a thing. Can we call it a thing? We became a thing.
Thing.
Yeah.
I get questions, and it's not my story to tell. So why not put the man himself on the stand and ask the questions? The hot seat, the hot lamp. Yeah, crank that light up. So yeah, let's go.
I'll be drinking through this episode, by the way.
What are you drinking there, by the
way? I'll tell you later.
So yeah, let's get hot and heavy. I don't know if the goal is to make you cry or laugh or a little bit of both, but man, let's heat this up. Let's go back to when did you leave Kentucky Owl? Year.
What year did I leave? Well, it was last year. It's 2020. Okay. I was done. Officially done in about June of last year. I mean, I had tendered a resignation prior to that, and really out of respect for the team and the people that had supported me, I wasn't just going to walk. I needed to help make sure that there were people that I felt like would have been put in a difficult position, and I that were really good to me. But I think that's right, or maybe it was April of last year. Maybe I resigned in January and I was out in April. I think that's how it worked.
Sometime early to mid
That's right.
2021.
It's foggy.
When did that start? When did that start, and what started your exit strategy? At least, what planted that thought in your head? Okay.
Well,
step post Kentucky Owl.
I have to admit a couple things. Of course, I knew when I made or accepted the offer, I knew there would be change.
Sure.
You just have to know that. I mean, we were two people or three people, kind of in a one single market, and I knew that as it grew and as it got bigger, that meant change.
Like most acquisitions,
of course, and that's totally fair. I understand. They've invested in something. They need, and I don't fault them for this. I don't fault many of them for this. I will not disparage them or say anything bad about anybody that I worked with or was involved with. But I will say that, I for the first several years or first handful of years, it was a very tight knit organization. It was U.S. centric. We had a great team, but it's a small company. It was a small company. I mean, you don't expect to text daily with the global CEO, but I did. I knew these people we were in the, and the structure of the organization changed, and they had a little different philosophy. But for the first several years, they really allowed me to control the creative, the direction, the volume, all of those things. And I get it. I mean, they saw success and some things started to change, and they saw opportunities, and it was not early on, but within 3 or 4 years, the opportunities that they were seeing and the direction that I thought was best for the brand began to separate. And and so, and that's fine. I totally get that. I just, I've said this a million times. I've said it to you. We've talked about this. I've got to sleep at night.
Sure.
I got to look my kids in the eye and tell them I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of what I'm associated with. I'm proud of the, and it just, that it got to a point where I was like, I think I have a pretty good reputation. I think people look forward to what I've got going, what I'm going to do, and I need to protect that. I need to protect that.
And absolutely, and you have an amazing reputation. I mean, you're Dixon Dedman, Kentucky Owl, but that's the big question. What happened there? Why? So. Just going to skip ahead for a second, but we're going to go right back. You're coming out with a new label, and that's exciting, and it's creating a buzz, and people are talking about it, and people are really anxious to see what that looks like. But why the change? And so that's really what this is about. So was it the so you blended up to batch 10, right?
That's correct.
And then in batch 11 has been out for a while. You were not hands-on with that.
I was not.
There have been some other releases. There was a collaboration, a St. Patrick's Day collaboration, and now they've got some other product coming out. But was it the creative piece that they were sort of pulling you off of? Did you, lose kind of the stick on that as far as the decisions that went into creating your batches? Because I know you've made comments about you putting your name on your batches, and they're, if people have beef with those blends, those are your creations. Was that impeded?
I don't necessarily know that it was impeded. I think it was maybe it got to the point where I didn't have a whole lot of voice at the, to say, hey, can we think about doing it this way? Can we maybe talk about how we would do this differently, and I understand. I mean, big company, with a lot of moving parts, and I think at some point, maybe it's the right move for them. That listening to some hillbilly from Kentucky, they thought they had better ideas, and that's okay. That's fine. I respect that. It was not me. Wasn't what I was going to do.
Right. Lost that original Dixon Dedman creation that, and so from your perspective, your own opinion, batch 10 to batch 11, how did you feel about that, being hands off, and was it good, bad, indifferent? I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I don't have a batch 11. I've never tasted a batch 11. I've never tasted the St. Patrick's Day celebration. I have not tasted the Japanese thing. I do believe I tasted the Wise Man, maybe the bourbon, not the rye. But there's a lot of bourbons that I haven't tasted. Sure.
Right? I mean, and I don't try to taste them all. I'm certainly not a reviewer. I think batch 9 and 10 are two of the best bourbons I ever made. What happened with 11? I don't know. It may be fantastic. I'm really not sure.
Yeah. That surprises me. I'm a little bit surprised, I guess. Now, is that out of spite?
No, I mean, I'm not.
The opportunity just never presented itself.
Well, I'm probably not. I'm not generally a $300 bottle of bourbon buyer. So, yeah, I mean, if they sent me one, I'd probably try it. But it's not. I don't know. It's not out of spite. It's just. I mean, it's. It at that point, it's just another. It's another bourbon that's out there that I didn't do.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
If that, I mean, I'm not trying to be all cagey or anything like that.
Right.
It's just
no, I'm curious. I that's interesting, I think, because I fully would have expected that you had some understanding of it, experience, would have tasted it. And so it does surprise me a little bit that you've not gotten your hands on one way or the other and tried it and then had your own opinion about it.
Well, it's again, that's not. I mean, the last thing that I would ever do is start tasting stuff and be like, "Oh, it's awful." It would have been so much better if I, I mean, that's not me. I just,
right.
I think they've got some great people there, some people that I want them to do great. I want them to succeed. I have no ill will. It's just we just reached a point where we were not pulling on the same end of the rope.
Right.
And that's,
so perhaps one episode in the future, we get us some batch 11 and some Wise Man. We give it a try. We'll see.
Nervous that when we start doing these blind samples, I think I already know what's coming. Maybe I don't know.
So let's walk the dog a little bit. So step away from Kentucky Owl. What's going through your mind? Do you have a plan in place? You ready to move on to something else? You ready to build something new, or what's going on?
Yeah, I am. I mean,
but this is back up to when you're, April, May, June timeframe. You're leaving Kentucky.
Yeah, so it's very interesting period there, and I had a non-compete with Kentucky Owl that was up. It was only 2 years, so that was up. I mean, that was up whenever I left, and then and I had a clause in there I couldn't do consulting for competitors or this, that, or the other. And I thought, I'm just going to pump the brakes a little bit. I'm going to see, I've got some people that I feel like are really good people that I'd like to help. I started doing the consulting thing. I was doing a lot of these virtual tastings and stuff like that. Of course, at the time I was still, running another business, running my family's hospitality business. So, and I think the best part of that, two things that were great. One was, the consulting business and helping people launch these brands and source liquid and taste through stuff and talk about, marketing and strategy and I enjoyed that. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to help somebody when you kind of don't have any skin in the game too. You can be like, this is what I would do, but it's ultimately your decision. And
yeah.
And I think that, I met a lot of great people and helped a lot of cool brands, get started or get some traction or whatever. So that was great. At the same time, it kind of re-energized me to what I started to realize when you're talking to other people about what they're doing is what I started to realize was, how much of what I wanted to do, I felt like was left undone. How many ideas and how many things that I felt like were, I kind of started to think, oh man, there's a lot that I'd like to accomplish, a lot more that I'd like to accomplish, a lot. And I miss those moments sharing stories with people, having people share stories with me.
Right.
This was a special, there's something about that, I've said it a million times. I always say it, but like, it's that kind of feedback and that relationship you build with people through something that you make that is so incredibly rewarding. Yeah. And, when people like buy into, to what you're doing, what they think, and I just missed it. And I really, so much so that, I kind of created this concept and put together a team, and then it was just this maddening experience, right? So we've got this idea and everything, and there's, it's probably a topic for another episode, but there's so much daggone money trying to get into this space, right? This American whiskey space. I mean, it's, and we were looking at all these private equity opportunities, people willing to put up X. And then that conversation immediately becomes, if we put in X and you get it to this point, we think we can sell it for Y. Right. Like that's how every conversation went that way. That's totally fine. That's private equity. That's capitalism. That's America, whatever. I'm good with all of it. But I just felt a little disingenuous for me to put my name and pour myself into another concept, knowing that really the majority of the people involved were solely focused on the exit.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I just, that's not, if I was going to put myself into this again and really go after it again, that wasn't exactly the direction I wanted to go, or the way I wanted to go about it. And, in the consulting world, I got a million calls. And they're like, hey, Dixon, we know you're a free agent now. And we think that, if you were to come over to our brand, we'll give you some equity. You put your name on our thing, help us get some barrels, and then we'll sell it for a bunch of money, and you'll get a big fat check. And I was like, I don't know. That's not me. That's not what I wanted to do. I really, it just seemed to kind of take some of the fun out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So clearly you're not in this solely for the money. You're not in this to just, rapid fire products and collect all the cash from it. What motivates you about this? Obviously with Kentucky Owl, you were inspired by a lot of different things. I've shared a lot of stories, and from batch to batch, and getting up to batch 9 and batch 10. You are most pleased with those products. Those are your big moments. What was the inspiration behind those? And then, coming up to 2XO, what's driving Dixon Dedman?
I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, money is important.
Sure.
I'm not, now that's one of the things we talk about with a lot of these clients, like what they say about the wine business or the horse business, or probably a lot of businesses. Like, if you want to make a small fortune in the bourbon business, start with a large one, that tired line. There's no denying the fact that I part of the reason we made the deal with Stoli that we did was about money. 35 years old, dishwashing on the weekends, and there's an opportunity to not only build a brand, but also to set my wife and 3 children up so that if I get hit by a bus the next day, they've got a little less to worry about. Anybody that faults me for that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Makes perfect sense.
But I think that, for me, and then, we sold the brand. I signed, I had a salary. I made the same amount of money in 2017 with Stoli selling 1,200 cases as we did in 2020 selling 12,000 cases. I'm a salary guy, or I was a salary guy.
Yeah.
The thing about 2XO and when we started talking about, different opportunities, and we were approached, or we mutually found Prestige Beverage Group. There were really two things that made all the difference in the world for me, and one was that they had the foresight years ago to start laying down barrels. So they had a steady contract, customized bourbon pipeline that was available to me. Secondly, family-owned company. They grow brands. They are invested in this for the long haul.
Okay.
So, I wasn't having to go to the market to source stuff left and right. I wasn't at the mercy of the market for what was available to me to create these blends and stuff.
Yep.
I had a steady supply, all I needed, all the opportunity to create these unique flavor profiles of this whiskey and then blend. And then, I don't have to worry about anybody saying, okay, it's time to sell. It's time to go beat the bushes and find the guy with the deepest pockets. Like, they want it, they want to grow it. And that was, to me, that's a dream come true. It was the best of both worlds.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And I get all the challenges you were just mentioning. That's a real deal.
And we're close. We're really close.
You are. Yeah. I wanted to see it. Check it out. So this is the juice in the bottle, the label. What's your target release date?
First full week of November, 14 to 15 markets, first full week of November. bottling end of this month. So, I mean, it's crazy. I'm about to hit the road. We're going to be doing a lot of these shows from the road because I'm going to be all over creation. But like, this is the fun time, man. This is the fun stuff. You get out there and you get to pour this with people and talk to them about it and share it with them. And it's the part that I really, really, really enjoy.
Good. Well, yeah, it's exciting. Congratulations. I know it's been a lot of hard work for you. And to get to that point, baby steps all along the way. It was nice to see you get that label. Beautiful bottle, by the way. Beautiful label. Love the label. I think that we dive deeper into 2XO on one of these next episodes. Let's really get into it and talk about the inspiration behind the twice oaked, what we have to look forward to with your batches and even release kind of plans, all the things.
I think that's the point of this whole thing, right? We're going to talk as much about 2XO as we are Golden Chief, but what all it takes to get there. Like you don't just, it doesn't just end up in a bottle and go to a store. Like, and that's part of what we're doing. But, you did not make me cry. I thought you were, but there are plenty more opportunities.
There will be plenty more opportunities. Yeah, I want to kind of dangle that carrot and just start to peel back the layers. We just started to get into first, second layer. So yeah, let's get deeper on that. And you know what? We're going to get questions. We already had a lot of questions. So, people, give us kind of direction to go. But Kentucky Owl, yeah, that's great. Behind the scenes, I know a lot of people have asked me, and I've, seen some of these communities online, social media, every time Kentucky Owl comes up. And I know here in Omaha, we've got the Whiskey Festival coming up pretty soon. And of course you'll be out here, for that. Looking forward to that. And, I as people are seeing that Dixon Dedman's showing up, people are asking questions. What happened to Kentucky Owl? And is he coming with Kentucky Owl? Kentucky Owl will be there, but you'll not be a part of that. You'll be representing other things. One thing, by the way, subscribe, follow, share, like,
ring the bell, all those things.
And yeah, give us comments, feedback, questions. What else do you want to know as a subscriber of our Blending Bourbon podcast? And we'll incorporate those into our future episodes. I say we wrap this one up. This is a good talk. Thanks for unveiling, peeling back some of the layers. 2XO, congratulations, my friend. I'm super excited for you. Can't wait to try the juice here real soon. And we'll go from there. Cheers.
Sounds good, brother.
This is a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody. Like, share, subscribe.
Next time.
Until next time. Cheers.